All great empires fall, not because of a single enemy, a battle lost, or a leader assassinated. No, they fall because of the cracks that grow quietly within, cracks that spread like rot, eating away at the foundations until even the mightiest structure collapses into ruin. And so it was with Rome. Rome was the heartbeat of the world for over a millennium. Its legions marched across 3 continents. Its laws and roads connected distant peoples. Power, wealth, and glory seemed eternal. Yet by the 3rd century CE, Rome was a house of mirrors reflecting power but cracking at every corner. Over 20 emperors ruled in 50 years, most meeting violent ends. The heart of the empire was bleeding, and no crown could stop it. Rome's economy had thrived on conquest, but the world beyond its borders grew harder to dominate. The spoils of war could no longer feed the insatiable beast of Rome's endless expansion. Back in the capital, heavy taxes crushed the middle class, and inflation devoured savings. The very wealth of Rome became a fragile illusion. But it wasn't just outside the borders. Within the borders, Rome had changed. The spirit of Rome, the discipline, the civic duty, the sense of belonging to something greater than oneself, that was fading. The legions, once the pride of Rome, increasingly were composed of mercenaries who owed no allegiance to Rome, but to the pay they received. Discipline waned, and the legions became less effective. Meanwhile, throughout the empire, the rich lived in splendor while the poor endured hardship, and the emperors, caught between the decadent elites and the impoverished masses, struggled to maintain control. As inequality grew, so did discontent. The people yearned for the good old days, for a return to Roman greatness. But the question is why? Why was Rome destined to fall? The answer lies in the nature of empires themselves. They are, by definition, expansive, always seeking new lands to conquer, new resources to exploit, new people to rule over. But in doing so, they create dependencies. The far-flung provinces need resources from the center. They rely on Rome to protect them, to govern them, to provide them with the goods and services they require. And the more distant the province, the more vital this connection becomes. But here's the problem. The center can't always sustain itself, let alone its far-flung dependencies. The provinces demand more and more, and Rome struggles to keep up. It's a vicious cycle. The further the empire stretches, the more it strains. And when the strain becomes too much, the whole thing collapses. Rome was at the breaking point. Outside, enemies lurked at the borders: Visigoths, Vandals, Huns. Rome had faced invaders before, and usually the response was swift and decisive. But each new attack stretched the empire thinner, exposing the weaknesses already inside. And then in 410 CE, the Visigoths entered Rome. A shock to the world, yes, but not the death knell. Rome had already sounded. For centuries, Rome had been synonymous with invincibility. But by the 5th century, the facade was crumbling. The sack of Rome in 455 by the Visigoths was a turning point. It exposed the fragility of the empire, the reality of its decline. From the sack of Rome to the deposition of Romulus Augustulus in 476 CE, it was a mere formality. On one side, you had an empire hollowed out by internal decay, and on the other, Germanic tribes ready to seize their opportunity. With no meaningful resistance left, the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. His imperial dreams ended abruptly. He spent his last years as a farmer in southern France. Rome, the eternal city, survived, but its empire did not. Looking back, we can see the writing on the wall. The fall of Rome was not a sudden event, but a gradual process of decline. The seeds of decay were sown long before the barbarians were at the gate. The empire's demise was foretold in its staggering inequality, its overextended borders, its army of mercenaries and its emperors, who were little more than puppets in the hands of the nobility. Rome's story is a reminder that even the greatest empires are not invincible. Their apparent strength can be deceptive, hiding deep-rooted vulnerabilities. What appears strong from a distance can crumble under closer inspection. The lesson is clear. Empires do not fall overnight. They collapse from within. The enemy merely delivers the final blow. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share. Your support means the world to us. Now leave a comment below. Which empire do you think is closest to Rome's fate today? We'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time.